All right, good morning, everyone. This is Phil Pugh. We're going to go ahead and get started here. All right. Just as a quick reminder, make sure your phone or your device is on mute as we are presenting, or whenever someone, especially when someone else is talking, so they're clearly and loudly heard, and we don't interrupt anybody with any background noises. Also, make sure you don't use the whole button, so we don't get any, elevator music. Just a reminder, when's the last time you logged into IMATS? Maybe a good opportunity for you to log in to make sure your credentials are good to go. That's something I have to do this month myself. This is our monthly coalition meeting, August 2nd. We got the standard agenda, so we got a few little add-ins this month, so we'll get to those right out the bat. But before we do anything, we'll go ahead and do a roll call, and we will start with our hospitals. All right, so we'll start with Anderson Hospital.
Eric Grandmeyer is here representing Anderson Hospital and Community Hospital Staunton.
Thank you, sir. Alton Memorial.
Good morning. This is Aaron from Alton Memorial Hospital.
Good morning, Aaron. Boyd.
Nancy Wollenweber here.
Good morning, Nancy. Carlinville Area Hospital.
Tyler Lank here.
Gotcha, Tyler. Appreciate it. Over to, we got Staunton. So let's go to Fayette.
Good morning. This is Tina Evans.
Good morning, Tina. Gateway.
Hey, Phil, we're here. This is Rick.
All right. You got the whole crew, or is it just you? Who's with you?
I believe Ashley Marshall's with us and Kenny James.
Yep, I see. I saw Kenny just darted from his his new office. So wanted to welcome. So welcome all of you. Thank you. With our HSHS partners, starting with Holy Family. Going once, twice, thrice. Okay. Let's go over to St. E's. Good folks from St. E's, either Brad or Tim. Anyone? Once, twice, thrice? No? Okay. St. Joseph's Breeze.
Good morning, this is Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. St. Joseph's Highland.
Good morning, this is Patrick. I will go ahead and get information to Holy Family and St. Elizabeth's as well.
Appreciate it, Patrick. Thank you very much. Jersey.
Yeah, this is Nick with Jersey.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And who was next? Sorry. For Memorial Hospital Belleville, you got myself, Lee, Scott Klosterman. Mike is not on this morning. I believe he is out working with the state this morning. And Tim says he can't hear anything. I'll just type in here just really quickly. Check your speakers. We are doing roll call. Okay, let's go ahead and make sure Tim's good to go. All right. So that's Belleville and Shiloh. Memorial Hospital in Chester. Is Georgia on? Once, twice, thrice. No. OSF St. Anthony's.
Yeah, Gary's here.
Morning, Gary. Thank you. Redbud.
Tara's here for Redbud.
Thank you, Tara. Sparta Community Hospital.
Dale's here from Sparta.
You said that was Dale. Okay, gotcha.
And Paula from Sparta.
And Paula, thank you very much. And Touche.
Hi, Terry here from Touche.
Thank you, Terry. All right, moving over to our health departments, Bond County. Calhoun County. Clinton County.
Yeah, this is Brett, Clinton County.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Eastside Health District.
Hi, this is Charmaine with Eastside Health District.
Morning, Charmaine. Thank you. Fayette County. How about Greene County? Jersey. Macoupin County.
Morning, Phil. Derek here.
Gotcha. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. Madison County.
Jacob and Michelle are here.
Gotcha. Jacob and Michelle. Thank you. Where we at? Madison. Oh, we said Madison County. Monroe County. Randolph County. And St. Clair County.
Good morning, it's Kira. I'm here.
Gotcha, Kira. Good morning. To our community partners, our RMSC. Greg, are you on this morning?
I'm on this morning, Phil.
Thank you. And how about Beth? It's our ERC.
Beth is on the phone trying to sign in.
Morning, Beth.
Good morning.
Any of our BJC partners on this morning?
Hey, good morning, Phil. It's Jason.
Gotcha, Jason. Not sure if Sean is on this morning. Anyone else from BJC? Once? Twice, thrice? Okay. Over to our emergency management agencies. Any of our EMA partners on this morning?
Mike Hershey from the Illinois Emergency Management Agency.
Gotcha, Mike. Thank you very much. Any other EMA folks on? And Cindy, I do see you inside in the chat. Thank you very much. Rachel, I do see you on. Gotcha. Any other EMA agencies? Some of our good folks over at MedStar. I thought I saw John jump on the screen, prowling the streets this morning.
Yes, sir. I'm here with you now and stationary.
Okay, gotcha. You're sitting down somewhere now. Okay, good. All right. Any other MedStar folks on today? Dan, I do see you in the chat. So yeah, we got Dan and Dale. Appreciate it. Good folks over at Abbott. Okay. Anyone from SLU? And as far as Scott Air Force Base, I know Tim is probably working out his sound right now, but he is on. Hopefully he'll get his sound worked out. Tim, you get your audio situated?
I'm good.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Tim. And our STARS partners.
Hey, this is Brad from STARS. Gotcha,
Brad. I appreciate it. And just double checking in chat here. Yep, I see Denny from OSF. This is also on. Kim from Columbia EMS. Good morning, Kim. And Carla from Monroe County Ambulance. Okay, very good, very good. So if anyone else has joined and wanted to shout out, this is your quick opportunity too, and we'll make sure we capture you.
Rural Meds here. Jeremiah from Rural Meds here.
Gotcha, Jeremiah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wendy White, Bond County here.
Gotcha, Wendy. Thank you so much. I know I did see a gentleman from, where is it at in the chat? Scott with the Rehab Institute. Okay. Southern Illinois.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Good morning, Phil. This is Nick with the Healthcare Coalition / STARS on the other side.
Gotcha, Nick. Thank you so much. Yes, you probably saw the slides. I threw your slides in there. I probably should just, I need to make one that just says the coalition. I know I have it under STARS, but we'll make that change. All right, anyone else that does show up, just please put it in the chat and we will get you accounted for. Also, we'll download the attendance. So if you didn't shout out, we still get you at least anyway, hopefully. But we'll start off with our traditional agenda stuff. We'll start with Greg. Greg, go ahead.
Morning, everyone. I don't really have anything that you don't already have HPP-wise on your agenda, so I'll let you cover that. EMS-wise, back in December, there were a whole new set of administrative rules that were updated, added, and so August 1st was the deadline to get those revised policies into me. And so that's what the coordinators have been busy doing, and I appreciate all of those who are on the call today who got those into me by the deadline. This is August 2nd, so I know the report for EM Resource compliance will be coming out. Continue to have several hospitals who are struggling on doing it the correct way. So I ask that when that report comes out, that you really look at your own hospital. And if you're one of those ones that are struggling and you don't know why, please reach out to myself or to Dan Lee or to Phil, so we can help you through that. It does seem like that it's a pattern with a few of our hospitals. So in case you don't know that it might be you, please make sure you open that report. They are separated by region, so you should be able to find your hospital pretty easily. And the last thing, I know there were computer issues, but I'll let Beth talk about that with some of the state stuff they put data into, and hopefully she has an update on that. So I'll hand that off for Beth, and that's all I have, Phil.
Perfect. Thanks, Greg. And yes, as far as EM Resource, yeah, we want to make sure that we got the appropriate folks with access and the ability to do that. So yeah, if you need any assistance, yes, please reach out. We're more than willing to help get you situated. All right. Thanks, Greg. Any questions for Greg? Okay, hearing none, we'll move over to Beth. Good morning, Beth.
Good morning. I didn't quite catch what Greg said that I was going to talk about, so if I don't, let me know. So getting back to fiscal, the old grants, we're closing out budget period 4, ended June 30th, starting budget period 5. I ran a report yesterday, and it looks like all of the STEP grants and the CRI grants are either still in fiscal for processing, or they are already in the director's office for processing. So fingers crossed we'll get those out quickly. The COVID crisis grant for most everybody will end June 30th. And I think everybody's submitted all of their reports. So I'm busy reviewing lots and lots of reports. The two things I wanted to mention specifically for, because we have healthcare and hospitals on here, hopefully you all got a siren message on it. The first one is that the IDPH issued a notice, or it wasn't an official HAN alert, but talked about best practices for healthcare providers for, and I'm not going to say this right, xylazine, XYLAZINE. It's a drug that is becoming more and more common, and oftentimes it is mixed with fentanyl to have it spread further. So if you did not get that, that came out Monday. Let me know and we can get that out to you. The second thing I wanted to talk about was locally acquired malaria. Right now we have confirmed cases in Florida and Texas. There is one in Pennsylvania that is not confirmed, and that's not for public information. I know they're checking that out. And CDC sent out a message entitled Locally Acquired Malaria Key Messages on July 24th. It's rather lengthy document, but it's a good reference. Hopefully we won't see any, but if you have someone you're not quite sure it might be malaria, this would be some good information for you. And the last thing, of course, is the eclipse. We started planning for that. Mark your calendars. It will be April 8th of 2024. And that's really all I have, except for if anyone has any questions.
And Greg, you were
Beth.
okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking about iNEDS and iCare. I don't know who on this call used it, but I guess it was having issues. I got an email this morning that said they've all been fixed.
Yep,
So-
I got the same one. It's as of 9:40 a.m. They said that it was fixed. Is that the one that you got?
Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone has problems, hit the help button to let them know. But as far as they're concerned, it's all correct now.
Perfect. Any questions for Beth?
Hey Beth, this is Stacy. What was the name of that drug that you had mentioned for the best practice for healthcare workers?
Okay, I'm going to spell it for you.
Yes.
X, Y is in yellow, L is in Larry, A is in apple, Z is in zebra, INE.
Thank you.
And it's normally used as a veterinary, I believe, sedative, and it is non-opioid, so it does not respond to naloxone. And it's obviously easier to get because it is able to be obtained through the veterinary type supply stores. It is not, from what I understand, part of the DEA's restricted medications, obviously, because it's veterinary. So it's an issue now, which I think you'll probably be hearing more about as it progresses.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Perfect. Thank you, Greg. Any other questions for Beth? Okay. Thank you. And now for STARS / the I will say the Healthcare Coalition St. Louis, Nick, we could cue you up. So we had talked about a couple of months ago providing an overview of the St. Louis Area Coalition and what they do, how they're constructed, et cetera, and give them an opportunity to brief that to you guys and an opportunity to take questions or just to get to know them a little bit better. So without further ado, Nick, I'll just cue you up. Just tell me slide and I'll move them right along.
All righty. Perfect. Thank you, Phil. And good morning, everybody. For those that I don't know, as Phil said, my name is Nick Kohlberg. I am a planner with St. Charles County Public Health. And last year had the opportunity to serve as the vice chair for the Missouri side of the St. Louis Coalition. And this year, I'm privileged to somehow have been roped into taking the step up. And I've been serving as the chair, and Jason Campbell with BJC has been serving as our vice chair. And for those of you that may know, Brad Zoroff is our readiness and response coordinator. And so they are both on the call here with us. So I may throw a couple things to them, or they may chime in as they see fit, and they can help answer any questions. So please stop me at any point if there's anything we can help answer for you. Like Phil said, this is nothing overly formal, just a quick overview, just to give you all some visibility and some awareness on how we're set up. And then I think if you want to go to the next slide, maybe Phil, I'm just going to cover real briefly some of the structure, how we operate, and touch on a couple initiatives that we're working on the Missouri side. And we're very fortunate that especially Lee, but several of you are involved with us in different ways, either directly or indirectly. And it's nice to be able to share some best practices. So zooming out a little bit, just for some context. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir for probably a good chunk of this, but for those that are not aware, each region, probably everywhere, has some form of a council of governments. And in the St. Louis urban metro, there's East-West Gateway Council of Governments. And so this, and this is more Brad's wheelhouse too. So Brad, if I'm butchering anything, please stop me. But the purpose, as you can see on the screen there, is really to provide a forum so that policy at the regional level can try to be coordinated. It started with a big focus on transportation. As you can imagine, the importance of trying to make sure that is coordinated and projects and funding are doled out effectively across the region to serve everyone equitably. At least that is the intent. And then over time, over the last 60 years or so, there's been some different initiatives and functions that have been added to this, to East-West Gateway. And if you want to go to the next slide, Phil, this gives an idea. So the top red bar there, overall, the different buckets of work that East West Gateway engages in or tries to coordinate across the region is our transportation, community planning, so more of the built environment, research and analysis, I believe, and again, Brad, you may know a little bit more about some of this, but things like GIS, data analysis projects across the region that can inform policy, all those types of things. And then the big one that's relevant to us is regional security, and that's where STARS comes in. And so you can see on the screen, to accomplish that work, there are several committees that exist, and I won't read them all off to you, but to try to accomplish the goals for regional security, STARS was formed, and STARS stands for the St. Louis Area Regional Response System. Next slide. Okay, so zooming in just a little bit, STARS itself, similar to how East West Gateway is trying to do policy for the region, STARS aims to provide that same regional forum so that response and planning efforts can be coordinated as best we can across the region. And the primary way that is accomplished is usually by having STARS accept different types of grant funding. Obviously, some of you are aware of the UASI funds, Urban Area Security Initiative. STARS receives and administers that grant, and for the city of St. Louis and 4 counties on the Missouri side, and there's 3 counties on the Illinois side that all have access as part of the UASI here in the region. STARS also accepts the HPP funds that you all are very familiar with. That's where, in talking to some other coalitions, including you all and others around the country, STARS is a little bit unique in that they accept both types of funding, and there's different footprints. So as we all know, the HPP funds stop at the river, and there's a larger, more rural footprint on the Missouri side as well, similar to you all, for agencies that are served by those HPP funds, but that's a different footprint from those UASI projects that folks have access to as well. Aside from those two, there are periodic grants that do come along. The RCPG grant is a project right now, Regional Catastrophic Preparedness Grant, that is ongoing right now. If anybody would like more information on that, get in touch with me or Brad or Jason, and we can get you connected with the right people at STARS. That's examining regional supply chain and working to build some plans to make that more resilient. And then the other one that you all may be aware of, and if not, it would be great to get folks on board with, is CCTA, Complex Coordinated Terrorist Attack. And so there are, I believe, some workshops and seminars still scheduled that are coming up soon, specifically in that kind of scenario for, Brad, help me out with the acronym, Notification, Reunification, and Recovery Operations, I believe.
Correct. Okay. And just a minor note that the CCTA grant is a grant that has completed, but we are continuing the activity with that under our UASI grant. So it's the CCTA activities under UASI.
Okay, got it. Yes, good clarification. So the actual CCTA grant was very focused on coordinated response and that sort of thing. It's moving now to the next step of the process, but utilizing a different funding source. So thank you, Brad. I think next slide, Phil. So again, zooming in just even a little bit further. So there on the screen there is the structure within STARS. There's lots of different subcommittees that all have their unique function. And again, the goal through STARS and through the board of directors is to have a place where these different functions can coordinate, potentially access joint grant projects, or if nothing else, build regional plans. Over time, there have been all kinds of different regional plans that have been put together. And so over time, in an ideal world, keep those updated, make sure we're addressing threats that face the entire region, and we can pool resources, pool expertise, and STARS is a place where that can be accomplished. There are, so kind of a unique thing, again, being that STARS is the agency that receives the HPP funds. In the past, there was a separate committee called the ESF 8 committee, and that is now what we refer to as the St. Louis, in the orange box there, the Regional Healthcare Coalition Executive Committee. And I know you all use the acronym RHCC a little differently as the Regional Hospital Coordination Center, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but so just, you know, a little bit different use of that acronym there. And so all these committees are essentially autonomous of one another. And so they're, without the executive committee, the disciplines that feed into a successful healthcare coalition do exist, but are essentially operating in silos within the STARS structure. And so the executive committee is where representatives from those different disciplines are brought together to try to address needs across the different disciplines. And that's been one of our big focuses over the last couple of years is our coalition on the Missouri side traditionally has been very, very hospital centric. And it's probably for good reason that the healthcare coalitions in general have a bit of a bias towards hospitals and healthcare providers, but we are really trying to promote more of a whole community, making sure that folks in the other disciplines, even outside of the more traditional disciplines that you see in the green there, are aware of the purpose of the healthcare coalition to try to, again, share resources, all the expertise that's out there, and help people understand that they have a role to play in protecting healthcare infrastructure and healthcare disasters, all those sorts of things, and know that they can get support from these other disciplines that are out there, even though the name healthcare coalition sometimes scares folks away. One of the boxes there in green is mass fatality. That's not one of the core fours that we sometimes refer to, but we've tried to make a point of emphasis to make sure we're including coroners and medical examiners. And really, technically, while the HPP dollars stop at the river, we do have pretty good coordination with folks on the Illinois side in that committee as well. And then the other one that we've emphasized and has worked really, really well so far is a good link with the Fusion Center. And we've got a voting member on our executive committee, Kyle First, which represents the St. Louis Fusion Center as well. So a couple different unique partners that we're trying to make sure are pulled in there. Next slide. All right, so the geographical boundaries, and when we showed this slide to Lee a few months ago at a different training, he made a very good point to clarify, and again, I know you all know this, but when we're talking to other partners, the counties there on the left in brown is the footprint of the St. Louis Healthcare Coalition for the HPP funds. The three counties in gray in Illinois is referring to the fact that those counties are included in the UASI footprint. And so really just trying to show that we do have a good close coordination specifically with those counties, but indirectly with some of the more rural counties through you all as well. Next slide. Okay, some of the numbers just quickly, as I mentioned, there's 10 jurisdictions on the Missouri side, City of St. Louis, and then 9 counties stretching, as you just saw on the map, from Pike County up north down through the urban area, and then finishing out with Perry County in the south. So throughout there's 10 health departments, there's 10 EMAs, not counting the municipals, 59 hospitals. It's kind of interesting that of the state's 148 hospitals, basically, what is that? I don't know what the percentage, I should have done the math before, but a large percentage are in the St. Louis, the boundaries of the St. Louis Coalition. And so there's lots of work, there's lots of partners, potential good work to be done. And that's a constant effort to try to pull in new partners, as I'm sure you all are familiar with as well. And it also includes 2 of our state's pediatric hospitals. So a good burden when it comes to some of that planning as well. And then typically around 5,000 patients daily census in our hospitals. And that is obviously relevant to some of the surge planning and exercises that are required by HPP. Okay, next slide. All right, so I think this will pretty much wrap us up, and then again, please ask us any questions, or Brad or Jason if you want to add anything after this. But some of the things we've been working on recently, we've been really mostly last year, but also trying to round out some further updates this year to our coalition response plan, and instituting what we're referring to as HMACS, Healthcare Multi-Agency Coordination System. It's very similar to what you all already have in place. You guys are ahead of the game compared to us in terms of having a good coordinated whole of community coalition response model. And with your RHCC model in place, that's essentially a similar type of model that we're working towards. And so we've updated our written plans and had a small scale utilization of the concept, and so it's gaining some traction on the Missouri side. And it's been really great to work, especially with Lee, to try to pull some best practices there that we can steal. And again, some other coalitions that we worked with around the country. One of the bigger ones is cash assessment and improvement. And again, we've spoken with Lee at length about this, but similar, probably all coalitions across the country, one of the most challenging things is we buy all this stuff. We've got good intentions to maintain caches to help agencies surge for different functions, and then over time, trailer tires rot and stuff expires, and we realize it's probably not the ideal types of supplies out there. We don't necessarily always know where everything is on a nice map. So we've got a work group put together right now, and there's 3 buckets of work basically that we're trying to address, trying to get a good solid picture of what's out there, how the status and the readiness of our current caches, and help that inform how we want to move forward with deployment, and maybe re-strategizing a little bit for how we track resources as a coalition, as how we just structure caches, whether they're more geared towards specific capabilities, or they're warehoused differently out of trailers. A lot of work, a lot of discussions to be had on that, and then going forward sustaining that so that we're not just purchasing things and they sit in a trailer and are not utilized effectively. Outside of that, we are working on finishing a strategic plan. Hopefully that'll be done relatively soon to guide some of our objectives over the next couple of years. A big one there is that outreach to new partners. And I will say that's been a struggle at times for some of our rural folks, particularly. A lot of our efforts previously have been centered around the urban core, which is generally where a lot of the burden is. But usually when some of those rural folks hear STARS, they assume that we're talking about more of the UASI type of setup, which they don't have access to. And so we're slowly making a little bit of progress on clarifying what the Healthcare Coalition is, how we can support them, how they can benefit from being involved, etc. And then the last thing I'll talk about, it's an interesting idea. We don't have all the details worked out just yet, but we are working on putting together a Healthcare Coalition Summit that's specific for the St. Louis area. And once we get some information, we'll be happy to send that out to you all for anybody that would be interested in joining us. The idea is to get folks from these different disciplines that hopefully are contributing to a successful healthcare coalition, bring them together, not only to meet one another and just build some networking and help everybody hopefully feel engaged and feel like they have a role to play in the coalition, but also potentially bring in some outside speakers, some hot topics in healthcare, potentially a workshop on something like mass fatality, intelligence with the fusion centers. There's lots of good options and things that we're trying to run down and put together a good agenda. So right now we're looking at potentially November of this year, and as we get some more details, we'll make sure that gets distributed to you all as well. And I believe the next slide is our final slide, just with some contacts. If you need anything from the Missouri side, Phil and Lee know how to get a hold of us, and I know several of you that we work with on various different things, whether it's from the health departments or through more of the UASI process, etc. If there's anything we can help you all with, please let us know. And I guess with that, Jason or Brad, the floor is yours if you want to add anything, or if the group has questions, we'll do our best to answer those.
No, Nick, nothing to add. That was outstanding. Thank you for walking us through that. I guess the only thing, like you touched on it, that I would just maybe elaborate and have a call would be like our outreach to some of these new partners, these non-traditional players in the field or in our region. And we're just trying to reimagine what whole of community healthcare coalitions could look like. So part of that would include like disaster relief and volunteer organizations, some other nonprofits. So just trying to come up with ideas about who we can lean on, who we can support, when we need to. So Nick, thank you for walking us through that. That was awesome.
No problem. And I'm glad you said that, Jason. I meant to mention that on that big slide of all the different subcommittees. One of those is the St. Louis Area Regional Coalition of COADs, or the SLARC. And that has been a good partner so far. There's already been a couple of use cases that have come up where maybe a hospital or some other agency needs some type of resource that maybe one of those faith-based organizations or more of the human service type organization could provide. And so trying to make a better link with them. I'm glad you said that. Brad, anything else you want to say that I maybe missed or didn't accurately reflect?
Sorry, just give me one moment. I'm on another call at the same time, so if you have any questions, the only thing I guess I would mention is you talked about RCPG earlier, and we should note that it's a healthcare logistics and supply chain is the focus of this grant. It's not overall supply chain. It's specific to the healthcare, so health, hospitals, public health, EMS. So that's really what we're focusing on, developing regional. Calling them plans might be is not usually what we do. We try to call them either guidelines or best practices, because we understand everyone kind of operates differently. We can't assume everyone's going to operate the same. So any questions on that, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Brad. And I see a question in the chat from Tyler asking if Macoupin County can utilize STAR. So unfortunately, Macoupin is not a county that's within the UASI footprint. That's only on the Illinois side. That is only Madison County, Monroe, and St. Clair.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Nick, Jason, and Brad. I'll hold one more second if there are any questions for Nick. Okay, hearing none. Again, thank you. And as always, we look forward to our continued partnership and working together across state lines, because we need each other vitally when and anytime we have a disaster. So we like laying on the groundwork now, so without having to worry about it during a disaster. So appreciate it. So, okay, we'll move over to Remark. I know Mike's not here. I was going to brief, but I guess I could go with Lee. Did you have any updates for Remark?
Hey, good morning. No real updates. We have the upcoming, a couple of upcoming events. We'll be supporting the IndyCar races with medical, as well as the upcoming Belleville Marathon. I don't know that we have a whole lot beyond that going on, other than just our routine monthly meetings, and that's pretty much where we're at.
Copy that. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we will have, I think we had our first meeting yesterday, formal meeting with the Belleville Marathon, their planning staff that we have there. We had that down in Belleville Fire Department. So race organizers, some city planners, and Abbott and MedStar Ambulance. So we will be looking forward to that as we come up. We'll be one of the lead sponsors. We'll be actually the lead sponsor, but we'll be working out there with other good folks I know the HSHS folks will be out there again as well. So it should be a great event. Come out and support your local folks trying to run themselves in the ground. 26.2 miles. Did it once, thought about doing it again, but I got a broken foot right now, so not going to happen. Let's see. Got it, Kim. We'll see if we address that right at the very end. Thank you. All right, so I took out our pediatric slides and the mental health one this month, just so we can make sure we had enough time for the good folks over at STARS and St. Louis Healthcare Coalition. But one thing that I wanted to touch on this month was our coalition calendar. So you guys have seen our previous years. I'm sure you've looked at our FY 18 to 23 strategic plan. We've talked about this over the last couple of meetings. And as we're transitioning and changing it, the executive council, we took a look at it and what we're going to, continue working on and what we're going to look at in the, next 5-year future. We are going into BP5. This is the last budget period of the HPP grant that we do have. So we want to make sure that we are, aligning ourselves properly with whatever the new requirements are from both the federal level and the state level, and what else we decide that we want to do. So we went through and took a look at the calendar and tried to figure out a better way to leverage the time that we spend with each other, and give us a better opportunity to ensure that we're both meeting the marks at the state and federal level, as well as being cognizant and sensitive to everyone else's time, so we can more so maximize it. Because what I will say is that a lot of times we'll have, let's say when we would do the TEPW, the Training Exercise Planning Workshop, now the IPPW, the Integrated Planning or Preparedness and Planning Workshop. Not those, when we do those as one-offs, they're sometimes not as attended, primarily because you probably got other meetings that you're doing. Some folks are wearing multiple hats and they just can't fit in their schedule. Do they take a look at some of the documentation and then provide comment? Sure, but they're unable to participate as they probably would like to because of whatever else is going on in their organization. So we're going to try to leverage our calendar a little bit better to get some of that participation up in some of those events. So what you're looking at is a basic, I'm going to call it a notional example, but I think it's a pretty good example. Several years ago, when we first did our second, I think, TEPW. Where were we at? We're at Staunton. I can't remember. I know Sue was there. I can't remember who hosted it at this time. It's been so long. It seems like we're doing a face-to-face meeting. Anyway, but while out there, we basically talked about how we would focus our annual training and exercise schedule, and we kind of pinpointed it on what the federal requirement is for each year. For example, this past year, the last 2 years, we had to create a radiation annex, right? And we had to create a chemical annex. So the focus of those years, we kind of tried to make sure that we had, some form of training that would support that. Now, this past year or the year prior, or this year when we had the chemical annex, I should say, for BP5, that's this year, I should say, we were unable to realign ourselves to provide training to maximize that. In FY or budget period 2, which was I think FY 17, 18, or going into 19, when we were first hit with the pandemic, rolling over into 20, we did a lot of training and exercises building up to our big full scale, which was our ChemPAC exercise. That never happened. So it threw everything kind of off kilter. So we, again, took a step back and tried to look at how we can each year focus our training and exercises to meet whatever the federal requirement is. So when you see this across the top, you'll see FY 24 BP5. That's 1 July 2023 to 30 June 2024. That's going to be BP5, and that will close out, and then we'll move into BP1. So again, this is a notional example of what we're talking about. But if you guys can see kind of the highlighter here, we would take a focus. So for example, we'll take a primary focus and let's say in radiation, and then the secondary focus would be pediatrics. When we flip over to the next year, depending on BP1 of FY25, what the feds say we're supposed to be focusing on as far as building a new annex or whatever that is, we would in turn focus on it. So we would know what that is so that we would take a secondary focus of pediatric, which would roll over into BP1's FY25's primary focus of pediatrics. Then we'd have a secondary focus of earthquake, then move over to the primary focus of earthquake. As you can see, TIC-10 will be the secondary focus of BP2 FY26, and then BP3 and FY27, the primary focus would change to TIC-10. So, and then over those times, you would see the exercise types. We would do one full-scale exercise per budget period, and the rest would be tabletop/functional exercises along the way. Okay, how would that look in a month by month? That's what the second calendar would kind of look like. So we put out here on this calendar, again, you got the months starting with July, the start of the fiscal year, to the end of the fiscal year, June, with those basic things that we do all year long, from project proposal openings, as we opened it 1 July and it will close 30 November. We're trying to show you where all of that is, what decon classes we'll have during and what week of that given month. What targeted training. So this is where we're talking about those primary and secondary focuses. So if I were to use this year, let's just say that this is what we would use. We would say radiation was the primary focus, pediatric will be the secondary focus. That means that during this year, we would have already done, well, I'll do it for next year. I won't say this year because we would have already passed it. So let's say for FY25, where it says pediatric and an earthquake, what would happen is during that time frame, we would have had a pediatric. We would end up this year sometime doing some pediatric training at the end of the year. And then right here, we'd start that pediatric training over. So we would get 3 successive areas of focus regarding pediatric training for the coalition. And then that would wind up back here at the beginning of the year when we conduct our exercise. And again, the beginning of the year is July, where we did our Mercy this past July. We would in turn do a Mercy exercise that's surrounding pediatrics. And then in that fall, we would have, I'll go back to this, go back to the slide. The fall from the pediatric, we would have earthquake. So now, during this time frame, we would do some earthquake, primer training, and then we would do more earthquake training in the winter and spring of the calendar year as it changes over, and then we'd continue that cycle continuously. We show you where all the comm drills are and our site visits, and this right here will be static. Show you where the conferences are for the year, so you guys can know what's there. And when our plan review is and when we would approve those plans, as we're doing right now from July to September. Here right now you would see, and we have some our workshops that we have to do annually. So our HVA workshop and our IPPW, and we're kind of giving you a ramp up in a window when we want to have those done by. Lastly, we have our meeting focuses. So what we would in turn do to, again, help leverage your time is every meeting, every first Wednesday of the month at 10 o'clock, we would not just do the same thing that we've been doing for the past 4 years or so, where we have our standard agenda and then we just add things to it, which is all fine. What we would in turn do is we would give each meeting month a theme. So I'll say August. So let's say we started it this August. We would have pediatric themed information, and then STARS would have their opportunity to brief, kind of like we did today, even though we're not doing pediatrics today. Next month, September, we would have our traditional quarterly meeting, and then we'd vote on our plans. Okay. In October, we would talk about it'd be a monthly meeting, not a quarterly meeting. We talk about the coalition assessment tool and the results of that coalition assessment tool. And then we would provide some training. In this instance, we're saying D4H and EM resource. November, when we're doing our HVA workshop, we would have the HVA as our primary focus for that meeting. Again, that is not a quarterly, that is a monthly. And then we'd have the National Weather Service kind of give us some insight on what the winter's going to look like. So it kind of can work hand in hand. Then once we hit December, our quarterly meeting, we would do our standard agenda. So September, December, back to March, and then in June, we would do our standard agenda like we're doing now, except the expanded meeting where it's normally lasts about an hour and a half instead of an hour. And on those days, we probably would not have any secondary, except for the very last part of the year. We wouldn't have a secondary focus. And again, so January, we do IPPW. Again, IPPW is going on that time. No secondary focus on that month. Then we do our MCM and KIMPAC, which is required annually, and we kind of hit February or March every year anyway. So then we'd have the National Weather Service there to kind of talk about what the spring's going to look like. And that cycle just continues on and on. So this is what we're looking to do to try to make, try to give some more weight to the times when we need folks to participate in the HVA process. We want more folks to participate in the IPPWs, et cetera, and also provide some training opportunities for things that we do routinely, or that may be a perishable skill that maybe you don't get in routinely, like D4H, and some things, as Greg was pointing out today, like EM resource, we would have that targeted. And that way you would know, you'd be able to say, hey, to whatever staff that you got, hey, they're going to have this on this day. I want you to be there so you can understand the importance of updating an EM resource and or learn how to use EM resource. And we can tailor each one of these meetings to fit the need of the coalition. So, and that's based on whatever your feedback is. So I'll pause here. Hopefully it's not too convoluted, but I want you to think of this as a cycle. Take a look at it. Take a look at the PDF, the copy of the slides that we put out there, and provide some feedback to us. But I think this is how we would like to kind of move forward and have this solidified following our September meeting. Okay, most of this is notional. We kind of put this together in the office, just around a computer and looking at it and trying to make sense of it all. So I'll pause here for any questions, concerns, thoughts, or ideas on how we could better leverage some of your guys' time instead of doing the same meetings. And also, I will say this, we will do a truncated version on those days. So again, in August, we probably would still have an opportunity to say, go around the room. What if Greg has some announcements, we'll get a chance to do announcements, but we'd like those to kind of be more of, provide the information. And then if you had questions, just give him a call or myself, whatever information that we provide, if you need to follow up on after the meeting instead of the way we do it today. So again, I'll pause there. Questions, concerns, insight, thoughts on this process?
Hey, Phil, this is Beth.
Yes, ma'am.
I think this is great. I'm a big planner. I really like how your secondary focus one year becomes the primary focus the next year. The only recommendation that I would make is that we make sure that we include the required element in the grant. So, for example, this year, BP5, and it's in the health department grants that they participate in a med-surg exercise with the coalition, and this year it's for chemical. I think it's the same for you guys too.
Correct. So the Mercy this year was a chemical that we did, and we did have some participation from, good folks from some of the health departments. I know we got those documented. But yes, okay, so we can definitely try to make sure that it's, it integrates, especially if you have something that falls outside of what the HPP grant does kind of have up there, but so we can make sure that we incorporate it so we can, get more bang for the buck.
Yep, that's what it's all about. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts, concerns, potential issues that we might run into doing something like this? Okay. If you don't want to speak up now, you can always shoot us an email, give us a call. Again, the goal for this is to make sure that one, we're providing enough foresight for you to effectively plan, and to maximize your time and to get you in some of the things that maybe you're not a part of today. Okay. And we'd like to get you in, get your elbows in the pot, so to speak, because what we don't want it to become, or what sometimes it has become, is we kind of have the kind of the same, let's say 6 folks that want to volunteer or want to do something all the time, and sometimes folks, not that they don't want to volunteer, it's just, again, like I said, you don't have the opportunity or time to just throw another meeting on the schedule, because time is precious, time is money. So, all right. Anything you got from that, just let me know, and then we will see how we can make it happen. Here's some upcoming events. Coalition Plan Review deadline, 31 August. The vote will be on September 6th. We've got several decon classes coming up. As you can see there, the 13th one's going to be here. Then we're out at Jersey and Fayette, and then HSHS Highland, and I think, Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the last one for the year. The October 12th, is that the last one for the calendar year?
Yeah, I'm double checking right now because I believe it's actually September 1st, not September 13th for here.
Oh, okay.
The September 13th is in Randolph County.
Okay, so we actually haven't actually.
And then the last one currently scheduled is going to be at Highland. That's the last one we have on the docket for now.
Okay, so looking at that, we're going to have, again, September 1st and then the 13th. September 1st is where again?
The 13th will be at Chester.
Okay, at Chester. Okay, and then here, Jersey, Fayette. So we got a lot of classes. We try to do a minimum of 6 a year. We'll definitely have a minimum of 6 each year, but we can increase that, but we just ask that we do that in enough planning time so we can get line instructors up. We have been trying to work more and more with our instructor cadre so we can have them. I see your hand, Greg. Eric, I'll get you. We've been working on our instructor cadre, so we're trying to, so it's not just Lee or myself, Scott, the same kind of 3 folks you see all the time. And thanks to Jason for some of his folks, they've taken a hearty interest in it, and we got 2 folks over there that are instructors. And then we've got we're pulling in at least 1 more from St. Clair Special Emergency Services, and one of our good folks, one of our instructors out at Christian, is doing an outstanding job as well. They just came over and taught a class we had 2 weeks ago, did a good job. So that's going well. What else we got here? Belleville Marathon, we did talk about that on the 30th. So good. Project submission deadline, November 30th. Please don't forget about that. Again, this year, I will say we've done a great job with the timing of things. We're the furthest along, the fastest we've ever been since I've been here. And it's not from a cause of trying or stuff that we've done on this side. It's been a state thing. So the state has slowly, but over time, has gotten better and better. So I'm hoping this year we get the opportunity to move really quickly, get you guys your funds, and get you guys the opportunity to spend it a little quicker than we did this past year. So thank you for all the hard work in getting your information back to the grants management office. And then again, solar eclipse, April 8th. So I didn't look and see if that's what day that's on, but hopefully it's not let's look, I'm looking now, April. Okay, so that's a Monday, not a Wednesday. I'll just make sure it wasn't our day. Eric, I saw your hand up. Eric, if you are talking, you are muted. Calling Eric Brandmeyer once, twice, thrice. It shows you're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
How about now?
Gotcha. Perfect.
Awesome.
Lima Charlie, go ahead.
All right. First of all, what a great resource that is for the region, the decon training. A while back when you guys first started this, a handful of us took the training to become, and I'm using air quotes, I apologize, instructors. And then COVID came along, and I admitted to everyone in the room, and I'll admit to everybody within this meeting that I really suck at that, and I have struggle to teach decon. It's not a natural thing like it is for you, Phil. But to that point, I am always willing to put myself in uncomfortable positions. However, I'm also accepting of the truth. So if you or Lee tell me I really suck at it and you don't ever want me to help train again, I can take that. Or I'll become better and I'll try and make myself a better trainer. That being said, a long way to get there is when you guys are doing all these classes, I see that as an incredible stress on your instructor pool. And yet I'm certainly not above and actually would enjoy going out and helping if I still could. And there might be a handful of us who originally took the training who might feel the same way.
Oh, most definitely. We could always use a hand out there, because especially during the exercise portion, even if you're not, doing podium time, the exercise portion, anyone who's been through training can definitely help folks dress out, direct folks on what to do, because you know what needs to happen. So much appreciated. And to hear you say that, you're one of probably the best instructors probably around here. I get that all the time. Eric's a great instructor. Eric's a great instructor. And to hear your humility to say, I suck at this, I've been there. It's okay. It's not a problem, man. You anytime you're ready to jump back in the pool, for real, just let us know. But yes, we could always use your help. And that goes for anyone out here in the coalition. If you just want to, I hate to even say audit the course. If you want to just take the course, be a part of it, and then, get one scheduled for yourself, you can be that second set of hands for an instructor during the exercise portion, all the hands-on portion of the class, because that does take up some time.
And it's Lee. We did update the PowerPoint significantly from what y'all took originally when you did the original Train the Trainer. We've greatly improved it over the past couple of years and continue to do that. And our current goal right now is to try to build some of that instructor staff so that we have more folks that can either take on as a lead or as an assistant, just so that, like Phil said, we're not the only ones doing it. But we'll see more of that coming. Hopefully do another instructor development maybe in January is what we're looking towards.
Indeed, we do have that on that matrix that you saw, or the calendar, train the trainer date each year that we'd like to assign to do one. And I'll be the first to tell you that it ain't for everybody, right? It is not for everybody. No matter how comfortable you are with instructing, it will put you in an uncomfortable position. But sometimes, as Eric said, he likes being in uncomfortable positions, and it forces you to learn. So don't be afraid to jump into it. A lot of times you just need time, what they call stick time in an aircraft. You need an opportunity to fly the aircraft enough times till you feel comfortable. So Tyler, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, your decon classes, is that basically the FEMA HURT class?
Yeah, I guess to a certain degree. I've never taken the HURT training. Scott has, and I'm sure he'd probably say whatever we do is better. But the HURT training is kind of a little more developed to kind of push you towards mass casualty incident, so to speak. It's a 3-day course primarily there. One of the things that the HURT folks will not do, and I'll just say this for everyone so they understand what the actual law stipulates. But when you look in the CFR, 29 CFR 1910-120, the Code of Federal Regulations, which governs how OSHA looks at hazardous material operations training, which this is a hazardous material operations level course, an 8-hour course. The folks at HURT will not tell you that it meets or exceeds the requirements in the CFR. They won't stand by that, and primarily, and it's really not because they can't say it. They're looking at more of a legal liability because it is the employer's responsibility to certify and to say that you are meeting the CFR, that you are meeting the standard. So they will not say that you're meeting, as a course, again, of, I guess, some form of legalese, that they won't do that. When you get a certificate from us, we say that this meets, the training meets. However, on that same certificate is a spot for your organization to sign, and it tells you that you do not meet it until you've done X, Y, Z, these steps. And we provide you with documentation to take back to your organization to make sure that you are able to meet those steps that are outlined in the CFR. So we kind of do a hybrid version of that, but I'll stand behind that, our training any day. The HURT class is great for folks to attend, but you gotta, take 2 days for travel, 3 days for class, to go down to Anniston, my former tech school area, Anniston, Alabama, at the CDP. So great course, and they have lots of great things. We're trying to actually get them to come up here and do some traveling whenever they can to host some training. So
I ask because we have several HURT instructors here at Carlinville, and that's kind of what we've been teaching with our decon classes up here for our staff.
Mm-hmm. Just remember, like I said, it is the organization. So if you're HR or whoever, OC Health, whomever is, the certifying individual, you need to make sure that you're documenting whatever that level of training is properly, and that you are meeting the CFR. So that's all I can kind of say. Always look at those 6 elements that you need to make sure that you're meeting. So thank you, Tyler. Anyone else? Questions, concerns, or announcements from around the coalition? I know we're about 8 minutes over, but if you got an announcement, now's the time. Okay, hearing none, our next meeting is going to be on September the 6th, so right at 30 days from now. So we will see you, same bat time, same.
Hey, Phil.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Phil, it's Eric from your former employee working for the VA. I'm sorry, I'm on the road right now in Massachusetts, so I was trying to chime in. I didn't know how fast your meeting was going to be. I know Lee wanted me to do a plug-in for MDMS at some point, so just wanted to find out if you want me to, for the next coalition meeting, to put a more formal presentation together, because what I had done last week, talking to Sean and Andrew, was that there's some new information being put out about the NDMS forms that we had asked folks to fill out, meaning on the back side of our NDMS agreement, one organization can list multiple facilities on the back side, meaning if you get, for example, let's use BJC since we know the territory very well. If BJC has the CFO or CEO sign off saying that, these facilities can participate, that page is actually separate from the signature page, meaning you can change as many of the participating NDMS facilities at any time. So it could be one signature into perpetuity, and multiple facilities can change in and out depending on, staffing or whatever they feel is necessary for their independent organization. So if you think that that's something that we need to kind of have a more formal meeting on during the next coalition call, I am more than happy to do that versus trying to do this over the phone while driving and listening to my wife yell at me about directions in my other ear. So just at any time, let me know what you want to do with NDMS, as well as going over some of the partnerships. I will say I didn't have a chance to reach out to him, but I am working with Gary Chrisman. I got to send him an email. So for those folks on that other side, because I want to try to start looking at our DEMS folks and NDMS, not NDMS, but DEMS and the DMAT team, and trying to kind of correlate some training to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music on, on how we deploy folks, so that there's a reasonable expectation that we're all on the kind of like first receiver decon. We're all speaking the same lingo. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to do joint operations or interconnect when we're out having a disaster. So some stuff to think about, but like I said, I'll put whatever you want me to get, if there's any information, things that you guys would like on a more formal basis, meaning a presentation or whatever, let me know and I'll put something together. Thank you.
No problem. I appreciate that. Definitely, we'll see if we can get you. If you could have it probably by September, definitely we could incorporate it. So I appreciate that, Eric. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you, Phil. I appreciate giving me the 5 minutes.
No problem. Anyone else? Once? Twice?
Hey, Scott.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, just a short insight. I don't know whether or not the coalition does anything, but September is National Disaster Preparedness Month. So we're going to be doing some stuff out here, but I didn't, and we would be interested if anybody else is doing anything. So we're going to be doing some weekly preparedness messages, a couple of outreach events, CDC, schools. We usually do a big thing over at the BX. And, we're always looking to partner with anybody, but it's a federal event, so I don't know if anybody else participates, but, that's the next big thing. Of course, we have, some exercises out here we're going to do in the next couple of months, but that's just one of the community kind of things I wanted to share today.
No, I appreciate that, Tim. We'll probably definitely have some messaging that'll go out, each week. But I don't think we have any specific events on the horizon, where we'll be in person with that. I would like to get back to it, and maybe when we talk about this summit, we had the idea right before COVID, about 6 months before COVID, and Leanne was working towards that for us to kind of build that into an annual 3-day event. Maybe that's something in listening back with Nick talked about that we could probably combine on, and maybe we could use September as the month for it. I don't know, maybe that or May. So, okay, but thanks, Tim. All right.
Yeah, is anybody going to the conference next month in Springfield?
I will not be in attendance. I don't think Lee is. But you're talking about the IEMA conference, right?
Right. IEMA, yep.
Yeah. I didn't know they were back in, face to face.
Yeah, they started last year.
Okay. Well, thanks for that too. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, team. We're going to close it out here. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We'll upload this to our YouTube page, and we will send out the meeting minutes as soon as they're done. Hopefully, it'll be done today or tomorrow. So take care. Thank you.